Hello, and welcome once again to Esoteric Guardian. Today, we will delve into the outer gods, the most enigmatic and terrifying entities within Lovecraft's mythos. But before we immerse ourselves in these cosmic horrors, there is something we must address. If you have the impression that this channel focuses solely on traditional esotericism, this video might surprise you, or perhaps even change your mind. Because today, we won't be discussing traditional grimoires, documented ancient rituals, or secret societies with centuries of history. Instead, we will explore something many consider pure fiction: Lovecraft's myths. But here lies the key question: what if they weren't just fiction? What if Lovecraft's stories were a disguised way of revealing truths that have been hidden for centuries? History has shown us time and again that the most dangerous knowledge has been passed down through stories, symbols, and metaphors. From mythology to alchemy, humanity has encoded its deepest truths into seemingly innocent tales. And when we examine the writings of Aleister Crowley alongside those of Lovecraft, we find connections that shouldn't exist. Crowley spoke of extra-dimensional entities, gateways to the unknown, and cosmic forces that govern our reality from inaccessible planes. Lovecraft, in his fiction, described the same thing: beings lying in the void, waiting for the moment to influence our world. Is this mere coincidence? Or did Lovecraft, through his nightmares, access forbidden knowledge and disguise it as literature to avoid the fate of those who spoke too much? Throughout this video, we will explore the possibility that the outer gods are not merely inventions, but fragments of a hidden truth that some have managed to glimpse. Let us step into the horrors of the outer gods and uncover what lies behind the veil. The outer gods, or other gods, are the most powerful group within Lovecraft's mythos, despite being the smallest in number. They are not deities in the traditional sense, but rather primordial forces that exist beyond any human comprehension, governing reality in ways that defy all concepts of space, time, and causality. These entities wield inconceivable power, remaining utterly indifferent to humanity and any notion of morality. They do not seek worship, they have no interest in human affairs, and, perhaps most terrifying of all, they do not even seem to perceive us. Their mere presence corrupts the mind and unravels the very fabric of reality, driving those who attempt to understand them into madness. What sets them apart from the great old ones is their absolute nature and connection to pure chaos. While beings like Cthulhu slumber in hidden places on Earth and can be conceptualized within our limited understanding, the outer gods exist in unreachable planes, in parallel dimensions, in the darkness between the stars, and within the most concealed recesses of the cosmos. They are the puppet masters behind everything, the unknowable forces that shape existence without intention or purpose. Throughout history, certain cults have attempted to contact them, invoke them, or understand their true nature, but no human has ever survived with their sanity intact after direct contact. Some esoteric texts have been linked to their existence, and there are those who believe that certain individuals throughout history have received visions of these beings, embedding fragments of forbidden knowledge into their writings. And this is where things become truly unsettling. Aleister Crowley, the most influential occultist of the 20th century, claimed to have contacted extra-dimensional entities, describing them as presences foreign to our reality, beings that existed outside of time and could be summoned through specific rituals. When analyzed in detail, his descriptions are strikingly similar to Lovecraft's outer gods. So the inevitable question arises: did Lovecraft simply imagine them in his nightmares, or did he, in some way, glimpse a truth that very few have managed to see? The greater outer gods represent the most unfathomable aspects of the cosmos in Lovecraft's mythology. They are not simply beings of immense power, but manifestations of primordial cosmic concepts, existing beyond time and space, far beyond human comprehension. They are omnipresent and immutable entities, meaning they cannot be destroyed or fully confined, as their essence transcends any physical form or material limitation. Unlike the Great Old Ones, who at some point interacted with Earth and could be temporarily sealed or pacified, the greater outer gods are absolute. Their mere existence is a constant within the universe, and those who have attempted to understand them have been reduced to madness or an existence worse than death. At the pinnacle of the outer gods' hierarchy sits Azathoth, the nuclear chaos, about whom we have a dedicated video on the channel. He is the source of all existence, but also its doom. Lovecraft describes him as a blind, idiot god, an infinite explosion of raw energy and chaos that lacks any consciousness or awareness of what it has created. Azathoth is the personification of absolute chaos, the engine of reality itself, though not by intention. It is said that the universe exists because Azathoth dreams it, and that the day he awakens, everything we know will be instantly erased. This god is surrounded by a court of formless flautists and amorphous beings who play unintelligible melodies in his cosmic court, ensuring that he remains asleep. These beings do not worship him. They seem to fulfill a purely mechanical function, maintaining existence in its fragile balance. Despite his immeasurable power, Azathoth does not act, does not decide, and has no purpose. He is a mindless god, a primordial chaos that simply exists. And yet, his influence is present in every corner of the universe. If Azathoth is the source of cosmic chaos, Yog-Sothoth is absolute knowledge. He is said to be all in one and one in all, for he does not merely exist at every point in space and time. He is space and time itself. Unlike Azathoth, Yog-Sothoth is neither asleep nor indifferent, but his knowledge is a danger in itself. Those who manage to contact him receive visions and wisdom beyond imagination, but always at a cost. His presence in Lovecraft's stories suggests that absolute knowledge is a double-edged sword. Humanity is not prepared to comprehend it, and those who attempt to do so are destroyed, either mentally or physically. Some occult sects seek to invoke Yog-Sothoth in the hope of achieving enlightenment and gaining control over time and space. However, those who succeed rarely survive with their humanity intact. His existence is so vast and incomprehensible that simply perceiving him in his entirety can shatter the human mind. He cannot be sealed or exiled because he does not exist at a single point in reality. His essence extends across all dimensions. He is the threshold of all existence, the key that connects worlds and realities. Now let's move on to Nyarlathotep, Unlike the other greater outer gods, Nyarlathotep is active, cunning, and, most disturbingly, aware. While Azathoth and Yog-Sothoth are impersonal primordial forces, Nyarlathotep interacts directly with humanity, manipulating it through his infinite number of avatars. He is known as the Crawling Chaos because instead of manifesting as an inconceivable being, he prefers to take human or monstrous forms to deceive, corrupt, and spread madness across the earth. Unlike his kin, he seems to enjoy human suffering and the destruction of civilizations. His nature makes him comparable to trickster gods in many mythologies, but with a darker purpose: to lead humanity into despair and absolute insanity. He has been depicted as a dark pharaoh, a grinning wanderer, a shapeless shadow, and countless other forms. Each of his avatars serves a different function, but all are connected to Nyarlathotep's will, acting as the intermediary between the greater outer gods and the mortal universe. While other gods like Azathoth are chaotic by nature, Nyarlathotep is chaos with intent. He is a deceiver, a destroyer of realities, and the worst part is, he does it by choice. Then we have Shub-Niggurath, or as she is better known, the Black Goat of the Woods, with 1,000 young. Unlike other gods who embody abstract cosmic forces, this terrifying entity is associated with fertility and the creation of monstrous beings. Her name is spoken in dark rituals, and she is worshipped by cults seeking her blessing to spawn new forms of life, though such life is always aberrant and horrific. She is described as an amorphous mass of writhing flesh, from which grotesque creatures constantly emerge, only to be reabsorbed into her body or set free to spread terror. While Nyarlathotep manipulates and destroys, and Yog-Sothoth represents forbidden knowledge, Shub-Niggurath embodies the corruption of life itself. Her endless fecundity is the antithesis of harmonious creation. She is uncontrolled proliferation, the unholy expansion of the unspeakable. The lesser outer gods are fragments of cosmic chaos, servants, manifestations, or extensions of entities far greater than themselves. While their power remains inconceivable to the human mind, many of them have limitations that make them more vulnerable to being confined or sealed under certain circumstances. But this should not be mistaken for weakness. Their mere existence is an affront to reality, and those who have perceived them have paid the price with their sanity. Abhoth, the father of corruption, is an amorphous mass of ever-decaying matter. Its very essence is degeneration itself, the source of horrid creatures that emerge from its body without purpose or control. Some have described it as an inexhaustible wellspring of deformity, a pit of flesh and pestilence that never ceases to spawn horrors. It does not seek to dominate or destroy, for it simply exists, exuding corruption wherever it lingers. Those who have attempted to approach it have been consumed by its influence, dissolving into a state of eternal decay. Within Azathoth's court, where reality collapses in an endless dance of absolute chaos, there exists a presence that burns without being consumed. Tulsha, the green flame. A spectral fire of unknown origin, flickering within the void, invoked in the most blasphemous rituals. Its light does not illuminate. It poisons the mind with visions of what should never be.